So hi, good afternoon everyone. I'm Mayur. I've been taking webinars before. Today, I think we'll start another 1 minute. We'll wait for the people to join in. Okay, great. So let's start the session today about how to draft a great proposal for your prospective client or clients. And today I have with me how should I introduce him? He is my best friend since childhood. He is a business and consulting coach, and he works with an organization called ASC, which is based out of Noida, but has worldwide presence now. And he heads the Canada office for ASC. And today, I think he has come all the way for us to have this session uh, at 5:30 a.m. in Canada time, and he's here. So let me just pass it on to Bhupen. Bhupen, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi Mayur. I hope everyone can hear me. It's loud and clear.
Okay, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, hi guys. My name is Bhupen, and I work for this organization called ASC Consulting. We are a legal and financial advisory firm. We have company secretaries, chartered accountants, lawyers, insolvency professionals working for us. And that's all based out of India. We have about 9 offices across the globe, one of which is in Canada. And this office, I'm taking care of this office for operations and business development. So yeah, I received this call from you saying that proposals is something that we need to talk about, and I felt that that's something that for me is a day-to-day activity. It's been like that since the last 6 years since I started off, and yeah, let's kick off and talk about what a great proposal looks like, because according to me, every proposal is great, and there's hardly any complaint that anyone can do of the efforts that you guys will be making to make a proposal in your future. And let's start, Mayur. Do you have any questions or?
Yeah, so let's just start by like letting the people introduce themselves over chat, and we can get to know who all are the participants for the session.
For sure.
So, people, can you please start introducing yourself in the chat? So we have Manali, and she's a practicing company secretary.
That's
Hi,
great.
Manali.
Hi, Manali.
We have Sumit. Sumit is a commercial attorney and a qualified CA, having my independent law practice in New Delhi. That's great, Sumit. Okay, so let people type in and we'll start with the session. So basically a proposal, I work as a university growth consultant at LawSikho, and I get in touch with a lot of colleges and universities, and I have to send them like regular proposals about the plans we have of collaborating with the universities and all those things. Apart from that, also, being as a publisher, I used to send out a lot of proposals to the government departments as well as private companies for taking their orders and seeking prospective clients. So I realized this long back, and I believe Bhupen was the one who told me that how efficient a great proposal is, and how well it connects to people, and how well, with your words, you can actually explain people how to go about what is the plan in mind, right? And if you draft like a great proposal, so generally people tend to get interested in what the plan is all about. And definitely there are a lot of things to the proposal. I mean, it's not just a mere document, it's not a prospectus, it's not a brochure, it's not anything else, but a proposal means hardcore business proposal where you are, asking your client to engage in some sort of an agreement with you for business related activities, maybe consultancy, maybe helping them, or anything for that matter, right? Maybe retainership agreements are also there, like where you need to send out proposals to companies who hire you as a retainer, right? So all those things are there. I mean, yeah. So I have faced a lot of proposals, and at the same time, to be fairly honest, I've had like full nighters before I had to submit a proposal to anybody. And Bhupen was again there to help me with all of that. And I used to be after him to help me with my proposals. And definitely now I'm in much better position with regards to the proposal. Okay, so we have some more people who have introduced themselves. Let me just get them through, and then we can go ahead with. We have Advocate Aditya Deshwal practicing 4 years in Delhi. Yeah, Aditya, I know you very well. We have met before. And Rashna Jihani, hi everyone. This is Rashna practicing corporate law and pursuing matters in business administration. That's great. So this topic definitely relates a lot to you, right? And Shantanu, SDA and partners. Good afternoon. I'm Shantanu. After working with a French company in Paris and an in-house counsel, I started my own law firm, currently having presence in 5 cities and 3 countries. That's a great achievement, Shantanu. Then there is Anjali Jha. She's a final year student of law and CS student as well. Then there's Hemant, who is a LLM student. Ashwin, who is a LLB graduate. Great. So, Bhupen, can you please tell them how the first step of drafting a great proposal is? Like, how do you analyze things? Because for me, a lot of times we put in like the executive summary. I mean, before the starting, while I actually start the proposal, and that carries generally like facts about what we are proposing, right? And about
That's
the
right.
meeting if we have had any, or the telephonic conversations. So we start from there. So you please guide us, Bhupen, like how we can actually about the proposals.
Of course, before that, a big hi to everyone who's present in this webinar. I see a lot of names and a good mix of students and people who are already practicing. So let me start with what you said, Mayur. You correctly said that proposal is not a prospectus or a brochure. It's not an information deck, according to me. It's a basic a communication that we put across to the prospective client, saying that this is what we see to do with you in the future, and this is what we think we should be pursuing with you, or the services or the products that we want to pitch to them, right? So I think it's a very generic term, or like you said, executive summary. Everyone have their ways of making a proposal. So I'll
Correct.
just stick to what I think, what I do, and
Sure.
I'll just stick to how I make a proposal. Now, before sending a proposal to anyone, I make sure that I understand what the client exactly is looking for, what the needs are, what I have
Correct.
pitched to them. So, as a salesperson as well, my objective in all these client conversations is usually to grill more and more and understand if I am in the right place. So, being a consultant, there are a lot of services that we offer. Like I said, we have a lot of professionals working with us. So, there are different categories and verticalizations that we have done in the organization. And there's hardly any industry that we do not serve. So, increasing the buffet of services, it becomes increasingly difficult for us to identify if we are in the right place. So, for me, the best thing that I can advise everyone or anyone is that if you think that you have a good, fruitful conversation with the client, and if there's something really helpful, or if there's something that's really adding value to the client, will be the point for you to think that you should be working on a proposal in the first place. Otherwise, it doesn't really add up. It's really a waste of time, because I see a lot of people, a lot of salespeople, including chartered accountants and lawyers. What they try to do is they try to mix their company profile and what they want to pitch in, combine both of them, and send across that as a proposal. I mean, that's not a proposal according to me, because that's fairly just mixing two very different things for a prospective client who is just looking for what's in it for him. So
Okay,
that's
can
where it
you,
all starts.
Bhupen, can you highlight this with an example, like given a situation, and maybe
Um,
that will be
we can
better
come to that.
understanding? Yeah?
Yes, we can come to that. I think I've shared a proposal with you as well.
Right.
So so understanding what your client needs is, I think, where it all starts, and what's in it for you is the second very important point that you probably should be looking forward to. So if there's something that a client will look while opening your proposal, are two things. Primarily, one is your company profile. That is how you've built your company, what are your accolades, what are your achievements in the past, and how big your team is, and etc. etc. And
Correct.
then the most important thing is, what is it that interests me as a client. So as a client, the most important thing would be a very good proposition, which comes at a good or a great price. And if I'm looking for XYZ services, I probably would stick to those services and not your A, B, C, or other kind of services that you're trying to pitch in or amalgamate with the other services, right? So that's how your brain should function. That two things should be worked out really well. One is your company, the profile of your company. Basically, you should not be including everything, but bits and bits of what matters the most to the client, and then the proposal itself. My proposals are generally very short. They are mainly two types. One is in an email that's very crisp and short, where I have to just put in a quotation and things fall into place. And the other is when I have to really put across some information and tell them that it's going to be really worth for them to work with me. In that case, my proposal usually is between 5 to 10 slides. By slides, I do not mean a presentation. It's usually a PDF, which is made out of a PPT. But it majorly, my formula is 333. So the first 3 slides, I focus on my company profile or what we do best. On the next 3 slides, I try to build credibility by letting them know what I've done in their industry and what my clientele looks like in their industry. Or if there's a service that I'm pitching you and I've pitched other people as well in the past, I'll try to tell them or show them the reviews or the ratings that they've given us, and then the proposal itself. So this is what I try to do. And if it's not at length, I think that can be reduced to 222 or 111, but it has to be short and crisp and to the point.
Right. So what can be the like basic elements if we talk about like I mean with a good proposal, like what should be included, like, and what should not be like overlooked in any proposal?
What shouldn't be included, I think we can start with that. So
Sure.
the biggest thing that shouldn't be included is the entire company profile. I'm sure you'll be very proud of what you've achieved in the past. Like I see Shantanu here, he has he has presence in 5 cities in 3 countries, which is a great achievement for him. I'm sure he would like to tell people about it, that how he has achieved so much and how his company has built his presence over the last XYZ years in 3 countries. So I think as far as the client is concerned, he would not be excited as much about hearing of his journey, but I think he would be more excited about the proposal itself. So
Correct.
what should be included is 1 or 2 or maybe a couple of slides of what exactly your company has been doing in which category. So you have to be very precise, and you should not be telling them that you are best at everything. You should probably just be very precise and let them know that, okay, we are chartered accountants. For example, there's a CA in this chat. So if you're a chartered accountant, you would be practicing, for example, taxation primarily. So you should stick to what you do the most, and then you should straight off jump to the matter that you want to discuss or to push through. That is, what is the proposition that you're trying to pitch into the client, and is it valuable for them? So you should definitely include what's of value in pointers. I think I have someone asking me something. Like you said, Bhupen, the second one includes your past track record in that particular sector. So what if I'm pitching to someone having no prior experience to that particular sector in which my prospecting client deals in? I think in that case, you should stick to what you've done in the past. It happens with me a lot. So I started Canada operations, I think, 11 months ago. So for me, pitching in to everyone was very new because I had no experience in no industry in this particular region. So what I did is I tried to stick to the achievements that I've had in the past in India, the case studies that I've had in the past with my Indian clients, and make them as a model to pitch the people that are currently present in Canada or the people that I'm trying to pitch with these Canadian companies, right? So if you do not have a perspective, you do not have a client in the similar industry with your prospective client, I think that's way to. All right. So if you do not have, the answer is very simple. You do not have to include anything. It's okay if the most important thing is that your proposal should have strong value, which should help the client be decisive in thinking that, okay, you do not have any past experience in industry, but we're sure that you'll be able to handle our case very, very brilliantly. So yeah, that's the case. So it's not that extensive, the topic itself. I think the most important thing to be considered while making a proposal, or even before that, is why are you doing this task? You should not be spending a lot of time on it. Of course, design and the way it looks, it really matters to a lot of people. But from what I've experienced is, end of the day, it filters down to what the content of the proposal is. The most important thing is and will always be content. So focus on that. You guys are lawyers, you're chartered accountants, you're not designers, you're not people who can make things look really good, but you can actually help your clients to make things happen. So focus on that. I'd not really focus on how my proposal looks design wise, because then I'll have to go to a digital marketing agency, take their help, and see how I can make it look very beautiful. Instead, I think it should be dependent on the importance of the proposal. So if the proposal has a huge value to you, that is in terms of money, if the client is going to pay you good money, then you should be investing that with a digital marketing agency, making it look more beautiful, more attractive, because it definitely helps. But otherwise, spending more than 1 hour on content means that you really are not delivering that much value to the client, and that's why you have to push yourself so much, and you have to brainstorm what should I write would be the best, because according to me, the client only thinks about what he's going to get out of it.
Absolutely, and mostly people are only interested in knowing that, right? How this is going to help,
Yes.
right? But besides the fact, like people being interested in knowing what is helpful for them, but there are other things too, right? I mean, there are negative statements like in the proposals,
Negative.
like for example, let's say, I mean, like what are the problems that a prospective client is facing? So instead of using such statements like what are the problems that you're facing, it's better to go like what are the challenges and the issues in hand. It's just a mere way of presentation at times too, which helps you with a good proposal. I mean,
Yeah, I think that again, Mayur, is I think overthinking and overburdening yourself with the thoughts that wouldn't really matter when you put them across. So, for example, I have something I think about you, might not be 100% correct, because that has not been confirmed by you, and that's an assumption that I've made, right? So before we started this, I sat in about 15 minutes ago, and I was trying to just Google as to how a great proposal can be made and what are the factors that have to be kept in mind.
right,
And surprisingly, I found a couple of them that were very interesting. That is, you should know what the concerns are.
right,
So I think writing things that concerns our clients in a proposal is actually demeaning the advantages that they have as a business.
right, right,
So instead of looking or working around what their concerns are, I think we should be more focused on how we can provide our services in a better way
right.
that
That's what
might
I
be
was.
helpful for them. Yeah, I mean, that's contradictory, right? I mean, you shouldn't be worried about what their background is or what their pain points are.
Right,
That's all what people say. But when you come to the ground in the reality, when you face a client and you have to send them a proposal, I think you end up just making assumptions that are not true. And sometimes it might be hurtful for the clients to feel that you feel about them in that way, where you do not acknowledge of what they've accomplished and you're expecting them to acknowledge of what you have accomplished.
correct.
So I think rather than putting too much brains into a proposal, like I said, it should not take more than 1 hour for you to craft the content itself. Designing might take a little bit longer because you'll be new to presentations, you'll be new to proposal making, but you'll find good samples on Microsoft presentation. I mean, you have it all on the internet, right?
It's there on Canva too nowadays. Like people use a lot of Canva too.
Yeah, so I think putting about 7 to 8 points of what you're proposing on just one slide
Mhm.
is I think both effective for you and your client, because it's not taking much of your client's time to read all that, and he's not going to lose interest if you're sticking to the point, if you're sticking to the numbers. So coming back to the content, I think the most important thing what I feel is numbers. So if you're saying that you're charging X amount of money, you should not shy away of saying that you'll be charging this much of money for your services, considering, for example, you're just starting off, you're a small firm, and you're charging as much as a big firm or an organization who's competing with you, having more than 300 employees would charge. So I think that's not something that you should shy away from. You should straight off be very honest with what you think you should be charging, and you should take a stand on all the negotiations that you've put in the proposal itself. So
Right.
after having written what you're trying to charge, you should then give them reasons to believe that this money that they're going to pay is worth it
Should be
and
justified.
not going into
It
waste.
should be
Yes.
justified, right?
So I think a proposal
Okay.
should move around all these factors where there are a lot of things that you think after hanging up a phone that
Hmm.
I should have told this, I should have told that, and I should have, convinced him. I could have done that if I would have told him that, this point was bang on. So I think
Right.
these points are the things that you should be including in your proposal in the first place, and you should be thinking them out loud with your team members, brainstorm with people who you work with, and they can come up with a lot of points that means a lot, not just to you but your clients as well.
Right. So, Bhupen, what do you think is the correct time to send out a proposal to your client?
I think the best time is when the client has given us consent uh, to receive one.
Right.
So in Canada, we are very clear. We cannot make calls if we are not permitted to. For example, I'm making a call to you and you do not know about it. You probably can just sue me or file a case against me saying that you are disturbing me in my working hours.
Right.
So learning from that in the last 1 year, what I've realized is that the same theory applies to everyone, be it in India, be it in US, be it in Canada, is that if someone is not prepared for what's coming next, then how can you expect to see a positive result? Because people are vulnerable. I mean, they probably will just shut you down. They will not read your presentation. All your efforts will go into vain. So I think the right time of sending a presentation would be when your client is asking one,
Right.
not before that.
So in
Don't
this case, like you explained, I mean, you are not allowed to make calls and all those things. So how do you reach out to these people then?
Mostly it's through LinkedIn. Mostly it's through events. So I do not really know about India because I haven't really participated in social gatherings there.
Hmm.
But in North America, it's very prominent. You meet people while you are at social gatherings, at dinners, at basically at events that are meaningful to a business. So, for example, I cater to IT clients a lot.
Hmm.
So we have a tech organization called Toronto Tech Summit. So Toronto Tech Summit every month they hold an event, a monthly event where all these IT people come together. They have dinner, they talk to each other, they see what's happening new, and that's where you get the chance to introduce yourself. And from there, you can pick up your call and just tell them, hey, we met at the event, and or maybe
Right.
just drop them a text at LinkedIn saying that we want to connect with you, and I think that we really can work together. And then we have to tell them what's in it for you. So if I tell them what I do, I think that's just appraising myself in front of someone who doesn't really know me.
Hmm.
So instead, what I keep a note of doing is that I try to tell them what I try to appraise them of what they've done in the past by just looking at their profile, their website, etc., etc. So if I have to speak to someone in the group, I'll just probably look into their profile and start from there.
Right.
So yeah, that's the way we work around.
Right. And moving ahead, like for the proposals, I mean, you obviously told us what is the best time, how it could be structured in a better way, and all those things. Like, uh, okay, what's a better means to send across a proposal? Like, is it via emails or LinkedIn connections, and how it should be? I mean, obviously, it should be an official thing, so it has to go out through emails. But
Yes,
is how
agreed.
much is it like useful to tell people about what kind of proposal you're saying?
Look, I think the two ways of looking at it. One is handing it out in face to face. That is, you take an appointment again and you tell them that there's a proposal that's ready with me. I've taken a printout and I would like to discuss it with you face to face. I think that is the best way of discussing a proposal because then you know how your client is going to react after reading what you've proposed to them.
Right.
The other way, which is very commonly used, is of course sending it across through an email, which also makes a lot of sense because it saves you a lot of time. So, for example, if there's a client who you think might or might not be interested in your proposal, you just send them it through the email, and from there they either they reply or they not. So, if they do not reply, there's no point for you to follow up with them and tell them that no. we were expecting your call, and how did you like our proposal? Did it interest you? It doesn't really matter, because if they've not replied to your proposal, meaning they did not really like it. So
Right.
I think the better way is taking an appointment and giving or handing out the proposal to them face to face. Maybe they'll take a couple of days to read it, but at least you've made sure that I think there's a new message, but you've made sure that that they've received the proposal and they've agreed to read it, and they probably, the chances of replying reply for them will be much higher than that of an email.
Right. So, okay, so I have a specific question, like keeping in mind the coronavirus situation that's there right now, prevailing,
Mhm.
how much of all of this, like a person can, like how to utilize this time for your business proposal that you have been waiting to be sent out, and you've been in touch, it's all lying in like a proposal stage where you just send out a proposal and get things rolling. So, how
Uh,
do you utilize that time? I mean,
I
that's a
think,
specific
the best thing, since we are talking about making a proposal, the best thing that we all of us should be doing is to learn how to design a proposal in this idle time, because I think making a proposal, drafting the content out of it would not be a problem for any of us. I think the biggest problem lies in the way it looks.
Mhm.
So it definitely is not the time for you to be sending out proposals, because businesses are struggling. They're struggling with their employees. They're struggling with salaries, payrolls. They're struggling with getting more clients. Like Canadian clients, they've been asking me to give them a 20% discount on all these services that I've given them for the year because of this coronavirus. So
Right,
people are cutting their costs, right? So it's not the right time to ask people for money. I
right,
think the best thing that can be done, at least for the next 2 weeks, is like I've been on Google. I'm trying to learn Google AdWords and Analytics for a change,
right,
just to be sure that my digital marketing agency doesn't fool me around anymore. But I think since we're talking about proposals, we can invest our time in learning how to design a good one. I think it's
right,
really important. I try to avoid it all the time, because I do not really, designing doesn't interest me at all. I mean, I do not like to invest my time in that. But I
right,
think since every one of us we have the time, it's better that we look into designing and how we can distribute content.
hmm,
So Prezi, for instance, I was looking at this presentation maker called Prezi, Prezi. It's a very interesting way of showing around your proposals. So if you guys are interested, you can look into that and take a subscription and learn how to make presentations out of them.
right,
It's a very good way interesting way of showing your services.
right. But at this hour also, I mean, there'll be companies like who are working in the online sector. They are still open, and like if they are your prospective clients, let's say, even for a lawyer for that matter, or CA, or anyone for that matter. So it is like the correct time that you get
I
it.
think
Yes,
it's an attack time then.
right.
It's a
Because
time that you should not
you
lose.
always have to analyze situations accordingly, right? You have been
Of course,
saying it for the proposal as well, right? So,
of course, of
yeah.
course.
So
Of
if
course,
you are
for
in,
me, for I think for Canada, for North America, it's very different, from what it is in India as of now. So for me, it's been a complete lockdown. I mean, everything is shut. Businesses are not working. People are worried. Actually, people are worried for each other and their families.
Mhm.
So ethically, for me, for us in Canada, it's not a time where we try to pitch in our services. But yeah, it's a good time for speaking business. It's a good time for prospecting what future business possibilities can be. I think that's what Indian companies are also doing. I think I have a lot of Indian clients as of now. Currently, I cater to, and I'm speaking to them, and currently I'm just discussing with them what options are they seeking to get out of this turmoil that coronavirus is going to spread on us in the next 3 months. So I
Right,
think this is the time when you can really connect with your client. You can actually speak with them what problems they're facing. You can give out your suggestions as a lawyer. You can suggest them of certain ways of handling it better, of handling it in a way where they can incur less losses. So yeah, I think the most important thing would be to connect with your clients. More or less, I mean, it's always good to talk to people. If you talk with them, if you
right,
understand what their problems are, you'll have a better connect with them after all this is gone. After Corona is gone, it's going to be business again. So at that time, they will remember that you were there for them when they needed you the most, and you didn't ask for money. So I think that would be the time when you can ask for premium. Talking practically of a good prospective Indian client being an individual partnership and not necessarily a rich top notch. Okay, I typically find that clients, after understanding the practice area or reposing confidence in you, which you're meeting, sending fees over written proposal may be detrimental for client or us as professionals being on higher lower side effectively. Don't you think that a physical or video meeting is most effective outlining work and bargaining? Uh, well, Sumit, I think that's the best way of doing business in India. I mean, that's how we've been doing it always. Talking about money, it's always been a sensitive issue to all of us, right? So if we are asking for X amount of money, we would always want the client not to bargain, and even if they are, we would like to close them at the amount that we have suggested. So that's a very sensitive area that totally depends on client to client. So for example, you're not talking about rich, top-notch corporate clients where it's very prevalent that we send across numbers on the proposals itself. If there's a company or there's an individual who is more sensitive about the money that he's going to pay you, it's better not to include it in your proposal. It totally depends from client to client. I think you're not sending it to an organization, you're sending it to the person you've spoken to. And there are two types of people in every organization. One is the owner itself, that is the management, and the other is a senior manager or a senior employee that you've spoken to for the presentation. So what I've noticed so far is that when I send a proposal to a senior employee, or I think I'm answering Sumit's question only, right?
Is that so?
So I just wanted to know one thing, Bhupen.
Yep.
So Bhupen, what happens is that sometimes being here, typically in Delhi, there are different kinds of clients. So one client is okay with the lump sum fees. For one client, we require an appearance fees, especially in the apex court or in the high court, or there is a one-time advance fees which we take, and afterwards different kind of fees is there. Sometimes for the real estate sectors, clients are not willing to pay, and totally depends on tomorrow what result they get. Do we create or draft 5-6 kind of proposals, or a meeting is beneficial here? What do you say? It is very intensive.
Please do not draft so many proposals. It doesn't really add up. It doesn't make sense.
It's very customized kind of a thing.
Yeah. I know. Look, a proposal is always customized. It's always for a client specific need. I mean, it's not a generic thing that you build for everyone, right? That's not, one proposal will not suit 100 people's needs. So if there's so many variants in your pricing, I think the most important factor to look forward here is a physical communication, that is one-to-one. You go and meet with them face-to-face and you try to tell them what importance this or X amount of money holds for you. So if there's a one-time charge that you're laying on the client, it is very important for you to make them understand what this charge is about, because most of the time people in India think that Indian business owners, they think that they try to take you for granted, and they try to tell you that let's take a lump sum amount, just bag it all up. And if there are 10 costs separated that you've pitched them, they'll try to bag it up and tell you, okay, this is the amount of money that I'm going to pay you, with about 25 to 30% discount on that. I think it totally depends from client to client. If you think the client is going to lose out, you should get into a lump sum deal. You should tell them a consolidated price, because from a client's perspective, it's going to be very difficult for them to understand the meaning of all these costs. For you, it's very simple because that's what you do for a living. For a client, it's going to be very difficult. And that's the reason all these big companies, they consolidate their costs and just give you one cost so that it doesn't create a lot of confusion in the mind of the client. So try to pitch them one consolidated cost on the proposal. And then if you're meeting them face to face, you can then explain them that these are the segregated costs that comprise to this consolidated money.
Got it. So we have some new people as well joining us. So I want them to introduce themselves as well. It will be better if you can introduce yourself in the chat if you were not there earlier.
I think Hemant has given up good. I was speaking about this. Mm-hmm. Let the other people introduce them, and in the meanwhile, let me finish what I was talking about. Right. That is pitching. So proposal. While we were saying about thinking of of how meaningful this proposal can be, it's very important to also understand who is it going to. Is it going to an employee, or is it going to an owner? What I realized from the past is that while I told you about the two important points that I look forward to, that is one, the credibility or my company introduction, and the two is the second part of the proposal is what I'm trying to pitch the client. It varies. So when we talk about a business owner, for him the most important slides would be what I'm pitching them. That is, what's in it for them and at what price. For them, it would be very important because they have to pay money from their own pocket. For a senior employee, or for example, a person who is employed at this organization, the most important thing would be how well my organization is doing. So if I'm sending it to a senior employee, the most important slides for me would be what my company is, how well it has done in the past 5 years, and what my client credentials looks like. Because when they see a proposal, they're eventually going to take it to the business owner. And the way they're going to pitch it to the business owner is, sir, I bought a company who has 500 clients, who is a multinational, who is present in 10 countries. And they're going to start like that. They're going to start by telling them what my credentials look like, not what I'm trying to offer. And then they'll come to, okay, so they're offering this and they're charging a premium for that because they're present in so many countries and they're extensive and XYZ, or vice versa. So if it's going to a senior employee, try to focus on your company credentials and for example, if there are 8 slides, 5 of them should be focused on what your company is and how well you're built. If you're going to a business owner, be very specific. My proposals usually to business owners are not more than 4 or 5 slides. I try to wrap up about my business in a couple of slides. That's one about the services that I offer, and the 2 about the presence that I've had or the journey that I've had in the past. And then I directly jump on the proposal and I try to detail it really well, because for them it's going to be very important to know whether the money that I'm charging is of value to them or not. So these are the 2 types of audiences that we generally find across the globe. It's not only about India.
Okay, so I think that answers your question, Hemant, like how you can actually draft it for a business owner and even for a senior employee, right? So moving ahead, we have Sneha, who is a business head from Sathi Consultant. Hi, Sneha. And then we have Mohit Garg, and third law student course, enrolled in property diploma course in contract drafting. Okay, he's a student. And then there's Utkarsh Tiwari, practicing lawyer. Short intro about Santosh, senior person in IT, doing LLB and looking to learn more about law as freelance. Okay. Then there is Anubha from Bangalore, Prashant from Pune, taking sales versus many bank clients out at time of payment of recruitment. Payment should be completed legal for what? Post taking services, many clients back out at time of payment for recruitment. My question is, the agreement should be on company letterhead or legal paper? Bhupen, you want to answer this?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually. I think you guys are lawyers, you know more about it, right? A letterhead or a legal paper. I think I'll not talk about the legalities of this. I'll rather talk about when it happened to me for the first time. So I gave out services just on trust, because that's what is most important, right? If a client has agreed to you, you bet on the relationship that you have with the client rather than betting on these legal papers. So it has happened with me in the past a lot of times, where they really do not have any inclination to abide the contract that we have signed or the proposal that we have agreed to. I think in these cases, the best thing is to stay put. I think the best thing is to not be desperate for the money that you own. It eventually will flow through. It eventually will come to you if you continue giving them services. So I think the best way of looking at is at the situation is that you should not be communicating your frustration or whatever it is to your client. Rather, you should try to exploit the client by giving them more services and being in touch with them multiple times in a month, so that they know the reason for your follow-up is eventually it boils down to the money. And I think that's going to make them pay you. It's more important that you do not put that frustration in front of them, just so they know that you're not running after the money. You're basically running out of the relationship, running after what you've built with them.
Correct. Okay, so next is a question. Next is the question from Manali.
Yes.
What should be included in company profile of a startup? Like I've just started with the practice and I struggle for content in my profile. Okay.
Well, Manali, a lot of us, like I told you, that I started in Canada just a year ago. So when we talk about profiles, company profiles, it's very different from proposals, right? But it's very important for us to also show what our company profile, a part of it in the proposal. So I'll just stick to that. If in a company proposal, we'll have to tell them that this is what we do and these are our services. It's really not a mandate to tell them with how many clients you've practiced this service. What's really important is that to derive. Yeah, so I think if you're just a startup, it's okay to be a startup. I think what's really important is that before you started up this venture, you must have sat down and thought about the services that you're going to focus to, or services that you would be selling to these prospective clients. So if you know what your services or your service heads and their subheads are, I think you should be included. You should be including all that information in a very good detail in these profiles and these proposals, saying or showing your clients that you really know what you're trying to sell. So if you're selling, for example, 2 services, what you should be doing is compartmentalizing these services into different heads and letting them know in simple language of the knowledge that you have of the subject because of which you are in a startup in the first place. So I think initially you should be only focused on the amount of services that you're providing. I think the journey will then build on from that.
Right. And Manali, I think I would like to add here, like if you are a startup, it's very important for you to show that value proposition or the value add that you're making, or where you're making that actual difference. That should also be included in your profile. Like how you are doing things and how you are different from others should also be there. Because at times that is also important for people to understand like how you're taking things ahead. Okay, as a startup, because it's very difficult for people to understand also that how you are different from the rest. Okay, so value proposition, I would say, should be there in your company profile. Okay, so moving ahead, like Advocate Mahesh Dhanawat working in field of negotiable instrument act cases as a strict code. Then we have Niyati from Delhi wanted to know how to create proposal for startup legal compliance. Bhupen, how do you create a proposal for startup legal compliance?
Startup legal compliance, that's something that every innovator, every person who thinks that they have a businessman inside would be thinking about. The legal compliances, they're very difficult and troublesome, of course, I mean, everywhere. But I think creating a proposal out of it would be creating a guidebook for all these startup innovators and these business people that you have to look out for these compliances before you do anything. So I think instead of making a proposal, I think you should be blogging about it, and you should be putting all these important legal compliances that are important for anyone's business or startup on your website, and promote it through SEO and Google Ads. And if not Google Ads, you should be promoting it through your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, and tell people how well you're educated and your knowledge is about these legal compliances. I think based on that, when people know that they'll probably get in touch with you, and then they'll ask for proposals. So I think that would be the time when you get into the proposal stage itself. And once you are at that stage, you won't really have to tell them what all the legal compliances they'll have to follow. I think that proposal would be a very generic one where you just have to share the cost of each compliance and the tenure or the timeline that's associated with that. So yeah, I think if you
so we at LawSikho, now we like a lot of times while I'm talking to my students, I tell them to do this. So what we actually guide them for is that you should start approaching the startups, okay, around your area. Let them know like you are a skilled person and who can actually deliver results to them. Sometimes they are not legally compliant in the part of contracts. sometimes in the labor law compliances, sometimes some tax things. So there are a lot of compliances for businesses to like take care of. Right. At the same time, like for one example, I would say MSME registration. A lot of people don't know that having a MSME registration can get your money recovery things better poised, right? But people tend to avoid all of that. So in these cases, you should start approaching directly because they are startup. You can approach their CEOs, their COOs, or the head, like senior management people, and let them know that you are such kind of a person, and you can actually give them like 10 points where they are lacking compliance. Give them a like a checkup thing, and then tell them like I'll do these three things for you for free. Okay, for free I will be doing these three things for you. So for the next seven thing, the startup is not going to go anywhere else but come to you for that very work. So that's how you propose in that case, and that's how you make a proposal to them of those 10 points where they are not legally compliant. And then when you let them know about these things and you actually work for them, that builds a great relationship for you also. And you can actually decide with these startup people, the senior managers, how you can actually monetary terms also for the rest 7 points. I mean, you can start charging, like if it's a contract or something, you can start charging what is the rate, like half to the market rate, and then initially build on these relationships. Because what happens is all these startup community people, they get together at some or the other place. There are community events for startups happening everywhere around India. Right. So once these people meet, their mouth of word publicity is what matters. If you help across one legal startup to be legal compliant, or one startup to be legally compliant, then definitely that startup is going to recommend you to 10 other startups too. Like I have this person. So I have this startup, this thing, Oasis group, where I am a part of. And like every time there is a requirement for something legal, something non-legal marketing, somebody wants to recruit anything. So people start sharing, and then they put in their references too for those people that yes, I have worked with such and such person. And so this is how you should actually start approaching them first. And once you've approached them, decided on a list of where they are not legally compliant, then definitely go ahead and propose like how you'll be delivering things to them. That makes a lot of sense, right?
That's right, Mayur. I think yeah, I think that's really good information, because in India, it's I think the most difficult part is to crack the first client, or maybe just crack the first conversation. From there, it becomes
Right.
relatively easier. So I think to add to what Mayur said is what I think is that once you get in touch with all these people, the most important thing is to figure out how serious they are or how careful they are for their business. So if they're careful for what they've started and what business they're venturing into, they will definitely
Mm.
sooner or later listen to you. And you just have to be persistent. You have to just be with them, follow up with them for a longer time, maybe 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It's going to take some time, but then eventually, if they are careful with what they're doing, they'll come in touch with you. If they're not,
Right.
then there's nothing that you can do. So I think you should be filtering out these people, because there are a lot of fishes in the pond, right? I mean, there are other people
Right.
too who have started their business. So it's important to get in touch with a lot of people. That is, if you get in touch with 100 people, I'm sure that you will find out five good conversations that you will eventually end up doing business with. So so I
Right.
think it's better to get in touch with
And
more people rather than pushing the same people again and again.
right. And after this question, no, when I tell this to the students, they ask me like, how can we learn these skills? How do we get to know, and how do we get to decide on how we can mark out those 10 points? So it's a very easy answer that we deal with a lot of upskilling courses at LawSikho, and there are many courses. Like specifically, if you're looking to like be an in-house counsel advising on 10 different points, then we have a course on diploma in business laws for in-house counsels also, where you can actually you can actually learn two skills every week by the training methodology we have in our course. And that makes you know how the businesses conduct, like because see, for a business there's not one law that they are involved with. There are 10 different laws at the same time which a in-house counsel has to deal with. being be it a startup or be it an established business for that matter too. In an established business, you have like a team of in-house counsel, but in a startup, generally you don't have a single advocate. Also, I mean, at times I've seen people getting their agreements also drafted from the CA or CS that they are working with, right?
Yes,
So,
they
not
definitely do.
pondering more on this point. Yeah. Not pondering more on this point. Let's move ahead because there are a lot of questions I see. So, because MSME is not ready to sign legal papers and letterhead contract is not eligible for legal fight, I am really sorry I didn't understand your question.
I think it's in a continuation
Okay.
of the question
So,
that we received before. I think it's because of that question. One second, whether we should have a legal letterhead or a legal paper signed for these contracts. I think it's a
right.
continuation of that.
Mhm. So, in case of contracts, obviously you have to sign it on a legal paper. Your company seals are there, director signatures are there, and all those things are there. And if it's if it's a, let's say, a proprietorship business or something, then you have a proprietorship seal or all those things there. On the letterhead, you generally make the proposals and you don't make agreements on the letterhead. Okay.
I think it's better to get into business with people who you think will definitely pay, rather than screening
Right.
them after you work with them.
That's
Screen
the
them
best
before.
choice you have, right?
I mean, of course, there's business loss. You have to consider 5 to 10% of revenue loss for non-payments. So that's something that you should be prepared for, and not probably waste your time after you've done your efforts. Instead of wasting your time follow up with them, you should waste your time. You should probably invest your time to find more customers for yourself. So you'll recover that money sooner or
Right.
later. So you don't have to worry about that or get into nitty-gritties. So yeah, Manali has another question. She says that I have few schoolmates who have startups. Since I'm not in contact right now, how I can contact them? All right, Manali. So LinkedIn, of course, is the right place. But I think since they're your schoolmates, Facebook would be a better place to get in touch with them.
Or
Just initiate or spark conversations with them, and get to know what they're doing currently. Once you know that they have startups and they themselves are talking about the startups with you, you'll know whether they need you or not. So it's better not to talk business unless they are looking for that, and it doesn't add up for you to pitch your own friends.
okay. I have entirely different opinion of this. I think
Wow.
you should probably pick up your phone, and if you are, I mean, these people are your schoolmates, just let them know that you are into these kind of services, and you can be a better person to help them across. Why not? Why not do it for your friends? I mean, you can always
Yeah.
charge lesser amount of money, but do it for your friends. That's the best. Like helping as an advocate, as a lawyer, you always help people, right? So if they are well known to you, why not go call them, tell them like, yeah, I am into such kind of things, and I can actually help you be compliant and all those things. So it makes a lot of more sense,
Yeah, or
right?
maybe not charge them at all. That's right, Mayur. I mean, maybe just for the testimonials, for your increasing client base. It's good that you do this since you have the time, or if you have the time at all. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, Bhupen, sorry again, but I differ again. I mean, if you're good at something, don't never do it for free. You can charge less money.
I remember that.
That's okay, but you
I
don't do
remember
it
that.
for free, even to your
I
friends,
remember that.
right?
I
I
remember that.
had a
Since I've
bookstore.
been,
I never
yeah.
sold books to. I never sold books to my friends for free, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I agree to that. Since I do not get into this, doing
Uh,
business with friends, I think whenever I think that there's a friend in need who probably would look out for services that I may offer,
right.
I probably just get someone else to deal with them
I
because
totally get it where you're hitting at because you've given me free services throughout. So that's what you mean, but don't suggest that, right?
yes,
Okay,
asking
let's
asking
go ahead.
for money for friends is not always good. Anyways, coming back, Mayu, would you like to add anything or any other questions that you have regarding proposal? We can talk about that, or
For the proposals, I think the query that I had are mostly resolved, like as in when a proposal should be sent out, what should be the content part of it, and then how much time we should actually spend on preparing that content already. But again, yeah, like I mean, we started off this webinar. Tomorrow we are again okay. Let me just tell everyone that tomorrow again we'll be having a webinar how to begin client conversations, right? how to initiate those client conversations. So again, yes, people will understand how to go about these conversations, those things. Yeah, once you have had a good conversation with the prospective client, then probably yes, it's a good time to send out a proposal. And in this coronavirus phase, I would suggest only send proposals to the people dealing in online services
I
and
think people who are into
nobody
it.
else. Otherwise, it might just it might just piss them off. Like in this, I mean, everything is locked down, and you're sending them proposals, asking them for money. That does not make a lot of sense, right?
That's right.
Right. So, if there are any more, I would like everyone who's been a part of this webinar to rate this webinar on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 being highly satisfactory and 0 being not at all satisfactory. That will help us to understand like how is the value being delivered. So all the 26 participants that are there now can do that. And
Wow, that wasn't expected. Thanks, man.
well, it all depends on friend to friend. Like we have category of friends. Yeah, we do have category of friends, finally.
What went bad with Kush? All right, everyone. It was really nice having you all, and I think I might
Right.
not have answered all your questions about a proposal, but trust me, there's no right way of making a proposal unless it clicks. So if your
Right.
prospective client likes what you've done, likes what the proposal says, I think it's a great proposal. And all you have to do is keep trying to work out on the content, and please don't be monotonous that you've worked for a company with a, so for example, for the first couple of slides you've worked on a company profile for yourself. Do not stick to that with every client. Just try to innovate and try to find different things about your organization. I, until date, after creating so many proposals, I still, when I brainstorm what to write about my organization, I find a lot of new things from my teammates which I didn't learn before. So try to make every proposal different and try to contribute as much as you can towards your company profile. Eventually, it's going to go, or it's going to be very elaborative, and you're going to find a lot of content ready for yourself. Maybe after making 50 or so proposals, you'll be ready with everything, so you won't have to work on that again. In the meantime, you can work on the design as well. And whenever you need me, I am on LinkedIn by my name. We can have a discussion or a little chat on what you're working.
Right. And in case there are any questions, I've just posted, like I saw a lot of people want how and wow, like what a proposal looks like. So the proposal Bhupen had shared with me, I'm sharing that on the chat right now, and it'll be available to all of you. You can download it and simply see how a proposal looks like, right? Apart from that, I'm actually uh, okay, there's a question from Utkarsh. Sir, actually, with blogging and all, it takes much time to attract the client or pitch them successfully. It was good webinar, of course, but some practical stuff is left out. Okay,
I
please,
know,
yeah, yeah,
I
because
know,
of the
I know,
shortage of
I
time.
know. I know blogging. Look, it all depends on the time that we have in hand, but I would surely answer this. So, Utkarsh, look, blogging is a part of what you do on a daily basis. So, if you're looking at your own business, it takes time for you to build that. And I myself, I do not trust on blogging. I do not trust on LinkedIn post. If you go onto my profile, you'll see how active I am on LinkedIn. I'm really not active online. I really like to make conversations face to face or maybe on the phone instead of just rolling it out online and waiting for people to respond. uh, but it is a part of what you do. So if blogs are what it takes to get in touch with people or let them know what you do it. If you think there's a better way of doing it, there's for example your LinkedIn profile. A lot of people are attacked. You connected with you on LinkedIn. If you want to write a post and tell them what all services you provide, you can do that as well. But you have to choose a platform where you get people listen to you. If they're not listening to what you're doing, eventually you'll find yourself in a place where you'll have no business. So it's important to communicate what you're doing, and if you do it in the right way, it's going to pay off eventually. So that's what I think. Blogging was just one way of looking at it.
Okay, and Bhupen, I think I have one more question which even didn't strike me earlier. So,
Yeah.
how much effective it is to put an end date in a proposal? Like, for example, this proposal is effective till this date. How
I think
effective is it?
we should not be writing the end date on the proposal, because then it's more of a timeline which is sticking in front of the client. Or I think it should be communicated to the client on the phone or in front of them, saying that look, this is what. Because for services, the price is not going to vary, right? It's not something that's going to change price every week or change the variety of services, right? It's not going to happen. So I think once you are in that stage of sending proposal, you know that the client is ready to close, and you know if the proposal is of right value, he or she will let us know that they're going to work with us or not in maybe the next 1 week. So I think the best way of putting a timeline is to put a timeline on yourself. That is, once you've sent the proposal, you have 1 week to 10 days in your hand under normal circumstances, where you would like to follow up with your client on the second day and close them within the first week of time. And if they're not responding to that, you should take it as a no, and probably just leave it, and maybe touch up with them in a month or so and tell them that, okay, we've sent you a proposal in the past and let's talk about it again, because we have new rates. So I think a week's time would be more than enough. That is 5 to 7 working days. It's sufficient for you to get an answer.
Right. And another question which I had is how to decline a proposal from somebody coming into you.
I didn't get the
Like,
question.
how do
Sorry.
you, I mean, let's say, okay, I'll tell you. So, for example, I sent out a proposal to you for this webinar, and at the last moment, you do not reply for after several follow-ups and all those things. So, how do you actually communicate that your proposal is revoked?
I think there's no need to communicate that,
If
because you
if
already
there
aren't
is
getting.
no end date, then it has to come.
So look, if you're not getting any reply, like I said, in a week, usually you get a reply, whether or not it's a no. In India, of course, I know people have a problem of not saying no and then postponing it to later stages of follow-ups. But I think the best way of saying or accepting a rejection would be to acknowledge it. So if you've not received any reply, you should acknowledge them in a text message or an email saying that, considering that we've not received any reply from you, I take it as a no, and I take it that the proposal didn't interest you. Would you be interested to give us a feedback on what went wrong? Or would you be interested to speak to my manager and tell them what? So basically, you can, the last thing that you can do is try to take a feedback from them, that what exactly they didn't like and why is that they didn't accept your proposal.
See, I'm saying all of this because in India now what happens is a lot of time people try to delay things. Right. So if there's no end date now, they keep on delaying.
It's okay.
And every
It's
time you
again
go
will
talk
delay.
to them, they have new reasons for it.
Yeah, I know. They're going to do it, right? It's when you understand that, look, this trick is going to work on him or her. It's when you try to innovate and find new type of communications that you're going to go through with this particular client. With every client, there'll be a different communication, a different type of follow-up. So if you think that this client is going to linger this proposal thing for let's say a month, so your follow-up will then stretch from 3 days to 6 days. So every 6th day you probably will get in touch with them unless you have them say no. And if they're still not saying no, you can then ask them whether or not they have a feedback to what you've suggested or proposed to them. If they don't have a feedback, if they say that everything is right and we're working on it, just tell them politely that no, whenever you're ready, we are ready. Just to let you know, we're just a call away. And whenever you're ready, just give us a call. That's it. Don't spoil it by saying that, no, you didn't reply for this much time and we are very annoyed and you wasted your time. Don't do that.
No, that's not my concern. Yeah. But at times you have to revoke those things, right? For those proposals. That answers the question. Answers my question. Yeah, it all depends on the situation. Okay, so if people have any more questions, we would love to answer them. Also, there will be a webinar tomorrow at the same time, 3 p.m., where we will be discussing about client conversations. I'm also mentioning my phone number here in case after this webinar, anyone has any queries, you can definitely connect to me over WhatsApp and all those things. Okay, Manali, I've just shared the draft. It's just being uploaded and it'll take some time, like it's almost done. Just wait for a minute and it'll be done.
Yeah, I
Okay,
just made
so
this last week. So it was because of a couple of meetings I've had with some of my prospective clients in Canada. I made it purely, or maybe I tried to be on point with what I want to communicate. So this, I think I have already sent to a couple of clients, a couple of colleges that I am looking forward to work with, and I'll keep you guys in loop if I get business from them. But
yeah,
yeah, that's how I just made it.
right. And to end this all, I would say that in this coronavirus thing that is going around and lockdowns being everywhere, I appeal to you guys to make the most of your time by learning some new skills that are going to help you post this era to get a lot of business. I mean, work more efficiently, and I mean, simply sitting at home and watching TV and all those things is not going to help. You should start up like with a course or something which gives you a practical insight. We have around 45 courses at LawSikho. You can choose, you can get in touch with me and our counselors, even me for that matter. We can help you decide on a good course for you. And I'll suggest, like, it's ultimately the choice remains yours, but then it's a suggestion that if you start taking these courses or even something that you're learning on a practical skill, because right now the things are like everything is locked down, you're not allowed to move out of your house. So how do I go about it? So we have a solution there at LawSikho. And if you feel that it's right, just give me a call. I'm just a call away. And otherwise, also you can touch me on WhatsApp or anything like LinkedIn profile, however it is comfortable for you. And we'll see you again tomorrow, right, Bhupen?
Yes, of course, 100%. It
Thank
was
you.
it was a great webinar is what you call it, right? Great
Right.
webinar. Thank you so much, Mayur, and everyone else for your time. People, I look forward to learn and share with you. And please get in touch with me if you need anything. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you again, Bhupen, for waking up at 5 in the morning and making this happen for us. And
I
our
hope I
listeners.
do that tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay. Bye. See ya.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye.